Hello and a warm welcome to another exciting and engaging episode of The Beam, where curiosity meets conversations, taking us a step further into the future we desire. I'm Sunes Nathaniel, and on today's episode, we turn our attention to the recently concluded Edo election. We take a deeper look into what trends emerged. What do these trends tell us about the direction of Nigeria's politics, even as we look forward to future polls? Joining me today to analyze these trends and to forecast the future, the political landscape ahead, is Hamzat Lawal, a leading advocate for social accountability and a global citizen, an award-winning humanitarian who currently serves as the chief executive of Connected Development Code. Mr. Hamzat, you're welcome to the program today.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, just before we get into that conversation, let us bring you a spotlight for the week. And afterwards, we're going to come back to this discussion that is very, very pertinent for this hour. Don't go away. Stay with us.
I was talking about the Nigerian youth, and I said 80% of the programs we have in this country is for the youth. Ministries, parastatals, agencies, whatever we call it, majority of it are for the young people. Within the technical expertise available to the Nigerian Data Processing Commission, NDPC, our objective with this partnership is to train 5,000 youths in data protection and privacy. We work, and I mean aggressive work. The process we started to create a level of opportunity for the youth has now come to reality as the first step of it.
The values that we can add to the country and to our people, and he really grabbed it. Said, okay, well, let's work on an MOU that will lead to so many things. And the icing on the cake, the training of 5,000 youth in the country. I know what that means. You can, at a time, develop a pool of globally competitive manpower in an ecosystem. Because this ecosystem is still evolving in Nigeria, and in fact, globally. And the turnaround of staff is high. Whenever we started, and now within 2 years, we've lost 7 staff. Not to therefore greater opportunities in multinationals in different countries across the globe.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Beam. You know, we've earlier introduced Mr. Hamzat Lawal, who joins us via Zoom. And we're carefully looking at the emerging trends from the Edo State election. Mr. Lawal, let's get straight into it. Many things have been said about this election, and we don't want to go to the normal rhetorics and the things that we've seen all around. Let's begin first by asking, what are these emerging trends which you have observed because you were on ground? So what are the trends, the emerging trends you observed while there? Please unmute yourself and we can hear you, so just unmute.
I'm really sorry. Yes. So first, it shows that our democracy is still fragile, it's still emerging, and there's a lot of opportunities here. Opportunities in the sense that the young people must take leadership and take ownership and first engage in the political process. You see, a lot of times we forget that before the election process, there's first a political process where it's being manned by the political party. And for me, when you observe ward meetings, you observe local government meetings in the political structure, you hardly find young people. Because you see, when you look at the outcome of this election, over just 30% of the total numbers of people that have their permanent voters card decided who became the governor of the state. And this is worrisome. This is a worrisome trend. Why would you have over 2 million people have a PVC and you just have less than 30% or about 30% voter turnout? So it means that just a fraction of the population would decide the future of the people of Edo State. And this is also a worrisome trend, even when you look at the turnout of the 2023 general election. So for me, I say there's an opportunity here because as much as we're still sensitizing people and building awareness, but there's little awareness around the political dealings or the political system itself. And I think as young people, We cannot say after elections you are aggrieved, you want to fold your hands, or you want to wash your hands out of this whole process. No. And the easiest target is always INEC. Everybody wants to blame INEC, but you forget that in this electoral process, security is a major factor. Working with National Union of Road Transport Workers in terms of logistics is a major factor. So it's not as if INEC has total control. Even if they are the independent electoral umpire, there are so many factors that would play. But most importantly, it is the electorate themselves that is the biggest factor. And if they don't see this as an opportunity to define what becomes the political history, the dividends of democracy everybody is yearning for, if they don't see it as they playing a role and taking ownership, then we'll continue to see this trend reemerge even as we go into 2027 general election. Because a lot of politicians are already looking at the future. But as young people, we're so distracted with things that really don't matter. Just imagine if half of the population of young people, so today we say we're over 60% of over 220 million. Imagine if 50% of that 60% enter a political party. That political party would not only become, in short, you can't call that political party a third force. You will call the political party a force to reckon with. Because those people would decide and determine who becomes the flag bearer of the party. So whoever becomes candidate must align their values, their message, and aspiration to the yearnings of those young people. So for me, what I'm seeing on the trends that it's ongoing is a lot of young people are very distracted. Sadly.
It's good that you've brought it to the young people, because like we said, there are so many other programs that cater to the older folks, right? But how much did we see the media play out that role when it comes to the blend between the media and the youth and politics? How much did we see that dynamics play out in Edo State?
I think even I'll take us memory lane. I think the media has made their mark from the Dot Too Young to Run campaign. And the media continue to see themselves as the platform that provides an opportunity, an equal playing ground, but more opportunity for young people. Because one, technology is playing a role here as our elections emerge, and even in the lead up to the Edo election. Because if you follow the polity on the digital space and then you go on the ground, there is a big disconnect. Yes, we know technology is playing a role. Young people are leading in shaping narrative, in informing narrative, and also promoting their candidates. But there's also the negative part, which is misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. And it's still young people that are pushing it, hampering on propaganda. And I think we need to nip it by the bud. But most importantly, I think the media have made their mark, and the media is creating that atmosphere and that platform to showcase that young people have a say, but most importantly, leveraging on that platform to reach out to mass number of people. And you see, even as we talk on channels, you're streaming on YouTube, on Twitter. Who are the people on those platforms? They're young people. So you see again, you're not just doing analogs, or you're not doing mainstream, you're also inculcating digital media.
Yeah, it's beautiful you've said that. Now the question would be, how do we get them to go away from the digital space to come to be soldiers on foot? By soldiers, I'm not meaning pander to any party or stuff. I mean, come out to make their voices heard, come out to be people who they must be reckoned with, right? How do we get the youths to go away from spaces from X and all that on the D-Day, gets down there and get the votes done? How do we do that? How do we make this a reality in this nation? Because we saw some of it play out in the last election, I mean, the presidential election, but somehow there's a little disconnect, or somehow there's a little lag when it comes to the other election, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you are correct. I think first, we need to take a pin, and this is my own analogy. Take a pin and bust their bubbles, because as young people, they're still living in a bubble. The youth and the Gen Z, they're living in a bubble, a world of their own, and they think everything is about mobile phone and digital technology. Now, politics is the heart of the grassroots. And yes, all of us can be in Abuja or sit in Port Harcourt, Lagos, or Ibadan, but we're from a community that is grassroots. Mostly, maybe there's no good access route, no clean water, no electricity. is how do we connect to what is happening on the ground? And all of us belongs to an age grade or a club in our various community. Yes, we all can't go back to our village and attend all of these village meetings. But how can we leverage on the fact that we're exposed, we are educated, we're knowledgeable, but we also have a job in the city center, but also take some of our resources and contribute to that political process. Now, you cannot eat your cake and have it, and you cannot say, oh, you're interested in this and you're not putting your money to it. Mm-hmm. But then most importantly, how many young people are card-carrying members of political party? Any of the political party, be the leading, the major opposition, or the third force, so-called. How many young people are card-carrying members? Now, if you're card-carrying members, how many times do you attend these meetings? You go for ward meetings, you go for Congress, you go for local government meetings, you go for state meetings, you come for national convention. Because if you don't do all these things, because these are the political process and structures that decide and determine who becomes the face of your party. Now, technology can help, yes, to amplify, but you need to do the groundwork. You need to do the offline work. And when you do that, you see, a lot of time when we sensitize citizens, we forget about getting the votes out, like you said. How can we also ensure that people come out on election day? Because you see, in the eyes of the ballot, because every other thing, we would say we're marginalized. But the ballot does not marginalize anybody. The president today only has one vote. My brother, you only have one vote. Mm-hmm. I only have one vote. Person with disability has one vote. A woman has one vote. So that means there is inclusion, no marginalization. So, but people must understand the power of that one vote. One vote can change the course and dynamic of the great country. But we must educate, we must inform, and we must ensure that we get mass number of people to come out. Imagine if we had over 80% turnout. Probably the results will be different. We only had about 30% turnout. And that's why you see the margin you're seeing from Edo. And now we're almost going to Ondo. And then before we go to 2027 general election. So again, it means that we need to go back to the drawing board. There's so much to be done. But most importantly, young people need to leave their bubbles and inform the political structures and political process before the candidates emerge.
All right. So let's still stay close to the technology aspect of this election, which is very key. Beavers, the IREV, and things like that. In looking at the technology that was used to execute this election, are we going to say that it elevated the way in which our electoral process goes? Or are we going to say it's still in the doldrums of darkness and still the same way in which it was before now?
No, it's not in darkness. There's already light. There's already light. In 1999, I'm a student of political science, but I had keen interest in history. In 1999, in 2003, 2007, 2011, we see where elections will be ongoing because I've been a party agent in my former life. And results will be announced in Radio Nigeria News at 4 when people are still on the queue or when results are being tallied. Today, with the introduction of beavers, mind you, there was card reader in 20.
Oh,
I'm back. I'm
okay.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Go ahead.
Yes, President Muhammadu Buhari, mind you, mentioned that time that if not for card readers, he wouldn't have won that election. But today we have beavers, and we must commend INEC because today's INEC is not the INEC of 1999. We've made progress, but we need to make much more progress. So what is also the integrity of our register? Have we ensured that it can survive a forensic audit? If not for beavers, because today you can't just go and cast a vote. The beavers machine would give you data of the numbers of people accredited and numbers of votes cast. So that is why you see now politicians are so desperate and now they're using our votes as commodity to trade. That's why you have vote buying and vote selling. If not for beavers, some people will just say, they'll fold their hands and say, it's just a walk in the past. But technology, we must also holistically embrace technology.
All right.
I've observed the election in Kenya, I've observed the election in the United States, and Connected Development got accreditation to observe the US presidential election in November. In the US, because of they've integrated technology holistically, you would see results in real time. Why is it that our IRA is not also tallying results. Yes, you can
All right.
upload results.
Let us hold. I want you to hold that thought on that question that you've just asked. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll go deeper into the role of technology in the election that was just concluded. We'll be right back. This conversation goes deeper than we thought. So just stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still into the beam, and we are with Hamzat Lawal, and we've been discussing, the recently concluded election in Edo State. And we're now into the place where we're asking the question of how much has technology played a role and where are we going from here? Mr. Hamzat, you were speaking about the IREV, something very critical about the IREV. Let's take it from there.
Yes, we must commend INEC on this game changer innovation. And if you can see IREV function optimally, the Beavers and IREV function optimally in the outcome of this Edo election, informing that outcome. Even the day of election, over 90% of results were already on the IREV. So we must commend INEC, and we hope that they can build on that as they go to other off-cycle election and as we go into 2027 election. Now, why can't we build a system leveraging on this to ensure that these results, as we upload them, they automatically tally? Because you see, what we're trying to do is use technology to rebuild back trust, gain confidence, so that people can start trusting public institutions like INEC. Mind you, before you have a government in place, this is the process that brings about the government. Sorry about that. Yeah. This is a process that brings about the government. So if the citizens see that this process is flawless, this process has integrity, then people would even support the government of the day. So what we're saying is, how can we integrate technology holistically, whereby as results are being uploaded on IREV through the Beavers, can't it be tallied automatically and have a dashboard, a public dashboard? Because in America, when they have their presidential election, everybody will see the result as they're trickling down from every state. You would see red and blue. And you know who is already leading even before the electoral umpire come and announce the winner. Why can't we have that? And I'm sure if we have that, we will not have the case where, as you can see, this is something that would have heated the polity, where a sitting governor that belongs to a party who was in Benin in support of one of the candidates and the party came on national television to roll out results by saying he's trying to inform the public. If we had a platform, a dashboard that is public, where everybody can plug into, where channels can show the world that this is who is leading and this is, results on the ground. Why do we need to have local government coalition center, ward and local government coalition center? Why can't we just go from the polling units
and upload
dashboard, uploaded and automatically tally? So people see it, people trust it, and then people support it. Because technology is here to bridge the gap, to build back trust, and ensure that we strengthen our very emerging democracy that we hope to be strong.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so in going on to further strengthen this discussion, I would like to ask, looking at what you have observed from this election, is it enough to start making certain predictions for what the future of polls and elections in Nigeria would look like? Is it enough to project? Some people are saying that with what they're seeing, there's still so many dark gray areas. Does it cast a speck of gloom on elections in the future?
You see, it's more than enough to predict. You see, as a political scientist, we look at trends, we look at history, where we're coming from, where we are, and where we want to go, and these trends are very obvious. And no, I'm optimistic. Nothing casts any doom. Because you see, politics is very real. It's not about propaganda or sentiment. Politics is what it is when you're on the field and when you practice it. So for me, I'm optimistic. We can get it right. If we agree as a society, and when I say society, I'm talking about all the other elements of society, business society, political society, media society, civil society, the electorate themselves. Because what we are currently doing is all of us were deceiving ourselves. Because when you go into an election and there are compromises, then you subvert the system. Why would you want to compromise the electoral process for your own personal gain? That is even supposed to be a criminal offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that the Nigerian police will live up to expectation and rise, because you don't need a petition to even have a criminal file against someone who would reel out results on national television when the process is still ongoing. So be as it may, I believe that this trend would inform future elections. And as a student of politics and history, we're documenting, we're analyzing, but this would also inform what becomes of the future. Yes, everybody would always say it's hand of God in Nigeria's politics. But I think we should leave God to rest in heaven. He has already given us everything it took, or everything it takes to fix Nigeria. So I believe each and every one of us have a role to play, and let's start fixing the country. But as we fix the country, we must fix politics first. That is why I think we must all go back to the grassroots, join political parties, attend ward meetings, attend local government meetings, and inform what becomes of the political structures. But again, what is our ideals? What is that thing that is uniting us and bringing us together? Democrats and Republicans, they all have very clear distinct ideals. As ruling party, as opposition, as different forces or political movement, what is that thing that is bringing us together? What is our values? What identity do we want to associate ourselves with? What is our vision for this country? The famous Mao did not just bring his country to where it is today. No, there was an identity. There was a vision. There was principles that brought everybody together. And then everyone works together. Politics, like they say, isn't as much as politics is about power. It's also about creating power, because this power we talk about, it's about people coming together to create this power.
Yeah.
When you create power, then you share power. But one thing that is missing in Nigeria's political struggle and power sharing is it is not inclusive. You have power that when you look at people with disability and you look at women and you look at youth, you tell them, go and wait till your turn. When you look at them and you think they're part of the problem, not part of the solution, not as partners, then that becomes problematic. And you cannot alienate over 60% of the population. And that is my strong case.
All right.
Let's create power, share this power, and ensure that it is inclusion. Inclusion is fair and it brings about justice and equity.
All right. Finally, for me, in just 1 minute, what will be your key take? What are your key take, and what will be your reforms that you think you want to see before the next major election comes on the way? What will be your key take from this election in Edo State, and what will be that kind of maybe a reform, a political reform, an electoral reform, something you want to see before the next major poll comes on the way?
I think one major reform I want to see is how nobody interferes with INEC's constitutional mandate and vote. Because what we've seen and the trend that is building up is people in political class and politicians trying to interfere. The reform we need to see is ensuring that INEC is truly independent without any favor or fear and no interference. And I think the 11th National Assembly can make history. And I think civil society are documenting all these things, and we would approach the National Assembly on what amendment needs to be made. But most importantly, how can we operationalize it? Because we cannot say INEC has independence and someone back there is still pulling the strings.
All right. That's a very good place to rest this case today. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Friends, that's where we bring this episode of The Beam to a close. Clearly, the path is there. The path to progress is there. But like he says, it's time for the people to hold those in power accountable. It's time for people to get into the streets and ensure that their voices are heard. We're going to be leaving you with our top 5. But as always, do not forget that you can always stay curious, stay engaged, and get ready. God bless Nigeria.
Our 5th most viewed video of the week is a clip in which candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Edo election, Asue Godalo, asserts that his party will only sign the peace accord when all their demands have been met.
Based on that, we felt very strongly that unless a level playing field was created, we wouldn't sign the peace accord.
In 4th place, we see discussions on long-term politics regarding Yahaya Bello's EFCC case, even as INEC rejects Abure as national chairman of the Labour Party. Coming third on our countdown is a short clip of President Bola Tinubu visiting Maiduguri and assuring the flood victims of the federal government support. Second on our countdown, we see Governor Obaseki saying he has no regret regarding his do-or-die affair comment on the Edo election. Our most viewed video this week is a full report of President Bola Tinubu's visit to an IDP camp in Maiduguri, where he pledged the FG support to the victims of the flood.
That we will help in the rehabilitation and resolution of problems there.
That's it on our countdown today. Join us next week for more.